Who is buying Bitcoin? The answer is nobody. Nobody is buying Bitcoin. The retail investor doesn't care. The institutional investor doesn't care. Everybody is offloading, and we see this in the on-chain data. Let me show you that data. This comes from the recent Glassnode's Insights newsletter. And it shows the Bitcoin price over time here at the bottom. So that's a bit less than 1 year of data. And it shows at the top what kind of wallets are currently buying versus selling. When they're selling, then this is red. When they're buying, then this is blue. At the top are the whale wallets, so the wallets with at least 10,000 Bitcoin. At the bottom, we've got retail, so the wallets that have less than 1 Bitcoin. So for example, retail was very, very smart to buy in October of 2023. That's when retail got in and the larger players were still selling. Then a month later, the picture has completely changed, and also the large players got in. That massive recovery started, right? From 20K all the way up to above 70K. And this is interesting here, right? In February of this year, the whales bought, retail sold. The whales were right, the price went up. Then everybody got super bullish. The Bitcoin ETF demand helped with that bullishness. Now there's no more demand in the Bitcoin ETF, and now everybody is selling. Again, retail outsmarted the very, very big guys here. They sold first. But yeah, here's the problem. Everybody is still distributing. There's not a single wallet cohort that's currently accumulating. I like on-chain data like this a lot. That's one of the reasons why I'm in crypto. In crypto, you've got data that you do not have access to in traditional markets. In traditional markets, it's all just black boxes. It's all just clearing houses. We don't know who's buying, who's selling. On the blockchain, we see the wallets. We see the balances of the wallets. If long-term holders are buying, if short-term holders are selling, we can see all of that. And with that data, we can make more informed decisions. Let's have a look at a few more charts. Check this out. Another chart from the same newsletter. It shows again the price of Bitcoin long-term. So that's now 5 years of data. Over here, we've got the Corona crash. And what we've got colored over here is the net unrealized profit and loss. The zero line for that is over here. So those are two very different scales. On the left side, we've got the net unrealized profit loss. On the right side, we've got the Bitcoin price. So don't relate those charts directly to one another. But what we can see is that when there's net unrealized losses, so over here, right? When the market in aggregate is in losses, that tends to be a time that's very, very good for buying. However, when the market is at very high net unrealized profit, so people haven't yet taken that profit, they are all just see green in their portfolios, then things tend to be somewhat dangerous. And currently we are again at very high net unrealized profit levels. That doesn't look that pretty either. I don't have a crystal ball here, right? I'm simply just presenting the data, and sometimes the data can be misleading, but still, the more data we gather, the more models we look at, the more we can potentially fine-tune our view. So let's continue. This is the realized loss by long-term versus short-term holders. And it's interesting that once a bear market kicks off, the short-term holders tend to lose a lot, but then on subsequent crashes, they don't lose that much anymore. And I believe the reason for that is that short-term speculation is simply way more active when we just came out of a bull market versus when we've already been in a bear market for a year, right? When we've been in a bear market for a year, then nobody's interested in crypto anymore, and so the short-term holders aren't losing that much. Then it's rather the long-term holders, so here in blue, that tend to lose. And so what tends to happen is that only once the long-term holders tend to be somewhat in losses can we see a turnaround in the price, can we see a bottom. So that happened here at 20K after the FTX collapse. Then we had a second capitulation. Again, the blue line spiked up quite a bit. And that's then after that long-term holder losses where we could turn around. Now there's only short-term holder losses, and they're not really large comparatively speaking, right? We are not yet depressed in the price whatsoever. In other words, if we buy now, if we now go against the grain and we buy against the whales, we buy against all the other retail investors that are all selling. If we buy now, we are betting on the current rally to continue. We are not buying the dip because everybody is so much in losses and everybody is completely in despair. We are simply just betting on the current positive momentum from the last months to continue. Will that happen? Of course, I don't know, but it's definitely a more risky proposition versus buying when everybody is completely in losses, completely in despair, and not really looking at the market anymore. This is not the current case. People are still active, people are not yet in losses, and if we buy the dip now, we're simply just betting on the current rally to continue. We're not really getting anything cheap here. The question is always, what could be the next driver? What could be the next narrative? The Bitcoin ETF demand is super weak. We only see outflows. We see how the balance in those Bitcoin ETFs is shrinking. We've already seen our all-time high even pre-halving, and relatively speaking, we are not at rock bottom whatsoever. People are not yet in losses. And so here's the realized price by age. And I don't actually like those shorter term realized prices. What I like is the overall market realized price. Again, when the current price is below the realized price, that's when the market in aggregate is in losses, and that's the point in time when we want to buy. Currently, the market's average price is 27,000. So people are multiple X's in profit, at least on average, right? If your average purchasing price of Bitcoin is above 27,000, then you're not an above average investor, at least in the Bitcoin universe. Once the price falls below that level, that's definitely a nice time to buy. Currently, people are thinking about taking profit. People are not thinking about buying when there's blood in the streets. The streets are still totally clean. There isn't even any noise yet. If it's the first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. If you've got Telegram, feel free to join us. Link is down below.